You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Almost. Major. Holy fucking shit, this is major!
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Almost Major, where we would usually talk about the many major studios and the films they released, but today is our intermission episode, so we get to go major. And today we were talking about Femme Fatale from 2001. My name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm here with Charlie Nash.
Hello.
And Bryden Doyle.
Hello.
And yes, this is our intermission, so we get to talk about any damn movie we want, and Charlie has chosen Femme Fatale from 2001.
It's my sleepover, and I get to pick the movie.
And also, your mom has to go to sleep before we start watching it. Femme Fatale 2001. This was released in France April 30th, 2002. Was at Cannes Out of Competition on May 25th, 2002. Went to TIFF September 14th. And then released in the U.S. November 6, 2002 at number 9 in 1,066 theaters. This date was also Rebecca Romijn's 30th birthday. That's neat.
Good for her.
Yeah. Budget was $35 million. Opening weekend made $2.7 million and a domestic and overall gross of $16 million. Top 5 films that weekend. I remember this weekend. I was big into looking at box office at this time. Top 5 films this weekend. 8 Mile, The Santa Claus 2, The Ring, I Spy, and Jackass the Movie. I've seen... Oh, hold on, I gotta do the top 10, hold on. Rounding out the top 5 is My Big Fat Greek Wedding in its 30th week, Sweet Home Alabama, Ghost Ship, Femme Fatale, and Frida. I've seen like all the movies in the top 30 right here besides Santa Claus 2 and the VeggieTales movie.
Yeah, I've seen 8 Mile, of course. I've seen, shit. I've seen...
I Spy?
Yeah, no, I have not seen I Spy.
Oh, come on. LimeWire watch right there. Come on.
No, has anyone
You've
seen
seen
that
The
movie?
Ring and you've seen... I have.
Yeah, Jesus. I remember that it came out the same time as The Ring because I remember I would watch TV Guide like for... just to see what was on TV because it was 2002. And I remember that the two big pay-per-view movies were like, you know, Femme Fatale and The Ring were highlighted for like a good 2 weeks for whatever reason.
Yeah, I used to watch, I think it was a channel that just showed things that were on pay-per-view. I used to watch it for like 30 minutes before going to school and then be like, why don't girls talk to me? But I remember, seeing the commercial for like The Ring, and then they would show like weird direct-to-video stuff that were on DirecTV. So it was just like, not even like TV spots, but they were like 30-second direct TV spots. It's a weird thing. If I could find like a rip of those, that would be awesome. Number 1 song in the U.S. this week, Lose Yourself by Eminem, of course. Number 1 song in Canada this week, Electrical Storm by U2.
What the fuck is that?
What the fuck, Canada? Lose Yourself never went number 1 in Canada, but a fake-ass U2 song. And Die Another Day by Madonna went number 1 for like 12 weeks. What are y'all doing up there?
Well, Die Another Day.
What the fuck is...
Look, the movie
sucks,
a cool
song.
But that's a good song.
That's a cool song. Yeah, that's not bad. But is it Lose Yourself?
Can I say something about
No.
Lose Yourself? It's it played recently on the radio station that plays at my work, and that was like a weird one where I was like... Also, it's weird too because I don't think my work always censors the song, the swear words in the songs and everything like that. Sabrina Carpenter song that's playing "Please, Please, Please." I'm pretty sure they don't censor the motherfucker part, so it's like I guess they didn't do that with the Eminem song. But I've also been hearing one of Eminem's newer songs where he's like "Abracadabra,"
yeah, it's terrible.
And I'm like,
it's terrible.
This is how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, it's bad. That's bad. Yeah, don't get me started on his new album. Boy, howdy, it's terrible. Plot description from Google. Lori, played by Rebecca Romijn, Stamos, that's right, a member of a crime ring, lifts an extravagant set of jewels from a model at a red carpet event, but instead of splitting the loot with her partners, Laura flees. While running from the crook she betrayed, she comes across Lily, also Rebecca Romijn Stamos, a woman nearly identical to her. When Lily kills herself, Lori assumes her identity and starts life anew, but Paparazzo Nicholas, played by Antonio Banderas, has been tracking her and may reveal all of her dark secrets. He may do it.
I don't think that's entirely true.
No, not at all. He knows nothing at all.
I think that someone just calls him and says, "You're going to get a photo of her," and he's like, "I mean, is that ethical?" And he's like, "Shut the fuck up and do your job."
Yeah, he knows nothing. Like,
yeah.
the entire point of his character is he knows nothing.
He's the typical De Palma, protagonist where he's just a schmuck in a bad situation who just gets lured into this whole, convoluted plot, and it goes bananas, and it's glorious in all of its, voyeuristic, sleazy.
Wait, what?
Yeah. It's
written and directed by Brian De Palma. Okay, we can go very long on this because there's a lot here, and we've probably all got some interesting things to say. Prior to this,
only do the B-sides.
do canceled person, just being like, we got fucking. I didn't write down the B-side, so I can't even run with this. We got How to Train Your Rabbit or whatever the fuck it's called. Prior to this, Greetings in 1968, The Wedding Party in 1969. Charlie, how was your nap during that movie? It was pretty good.
I love Brian De Palma. He's one of my favorite filmmakers, but that one was tough to pay attention to. That was actually the first one that he directed, but it was with two other directors. So technically, even though that came out after Greetings, that was filmed, I believe, in 1964, and Greetings came out in 1968. So
I also believe The Wedding Party came out on DVD put out by Troma. I'm gonna look at this up.
Did it? I mean, I watched it through the De Palma, early De Niro box set. Oh, weird.
There's Troma right there. Yeah.
I mean, it basically is just like it's a film that plays with frame rate, and it's and like French New Wave type of stuff, except it's just about one guy. And De Niro's there as one of his groomsmen, and it's just him having an existential crisis about getting married and getting old and having a boring life. And
which De
It's actually
Niro,
about trauma. Sorry.
which De Niro already does that movie better, in a few years with The Deer Hunter. Like, come on now.
Yeah, everybody has a normal life in that one too.
Well, yeah. When I looked up the Wedding Party DVD, the next thing it popped up was the Wedding Party Blu-ray, and the French version of Bachelorette is called The Wedding Party.
Well,
There's not really a party in Bachelorette.
Yeah, not
it's
really.
Kind of
There's a party that lasts maybe 3 minutes, until the male stripper says something terrible to Rebel Wilson, and then the party's over.
Hi Mom in 1970.
That one is great.
Pretty awesome.
That, I'd say, is his first masterpiece. That movie is... I mean, you could never get away with anything that movie's doing now. But...
The actors are too old. No, sorry.
I mean, if you haven't seen that one, have you, Brian?
No, I was just making a joke.
Yeah, no.
That joke. It's like, you couldn't make this movie today. All the actors are dead.
No,
It's just
Brian. The ways in which it tackles a lot of things. There's a lot of shit in that movie that is. I think it's radical and provocative in just the most audaciously fascinating ways, and also very scathing in terms of you could make that movie today, but it would be canceled on the spot. But what it's saying is still extremely valid to where we are right now.
Yeah, no, I was just like, I've heard that movie is it deals with a lot of stuff that sounds quite provocative. And I think they show footage of it in the De Palma documentary by Baumbach and Paltrow, which for anyone who hasn't seen that, who's listening, that's a very fun set. De Palma seems like a great listen.
I love that documentary. Yeah,
that box set you have, Charlie, very out of print, so hold on to that. But the DVD cover for Hi Mom, just got to show you this. Just got to show you.
Oh, yeah. Yep. It's truly terrible, that MGM.
Hi Mom, domestic terrorism.
Yep.
Sisters, 1972. I'm fine on it.
Oh,
but
Sisters rules. Sisters rules.
Phantom of the Paradise.
Better than the Tina Fey, Amy Poehler movie.
Probably. Haven't seen that one. Phantom of the Paradise, probably my favorite De Palma.
Yeah.
Probably.
That
fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And then probably my number two and my number three, Obsession and Carrie both came out in 1976.
Yeah, which is wild that both of those came out, and that Obsession came out before Carrie.
Obsession's a better movie than Vertigo. The Fury in 1978.
I mean,
no.
I don't agree, but I do like the perversity of Brian De Palma being like, what if we did Vertigo, but both the man and woman were Jimmy Stewart, basically. Like, it's such a funny twist, and it's one of those movies where like I got ahead of like where it was going. I was like, I think I know what this is doing, and then I was like, oh, okay. Well, now that I know this, I'm like, how far are they gonna take this? Like, I found that
as
to be
far
part of
as the PG rating in
it.
1976 could take it. Yeah.
Who's a better actor, Jimmy Stewart or Cliff Robertson? Okay.
You can't just say that movie's better than Vertigo and just leave that, though.
I can, yeah. I'm editing out your responses, so yeah, I can. No, I'm kidding. The Fury in 1978. I mean, the last like 10 seconds is like the best shit ever.
I love
Everything
The
before,
Fury.
I'm like,
I love The Fury. I love it. I love it so much. I will say it is funny. Carrie was such a huge hit. One of my all-time favorite movies. You know, saw it as a teenager. Hit me so fucking hard in ways that I didn't even fully understand. And, you know, as an adult, love it. Just the more I learned about, you know, film and, you know, just in terms of the, you know, my cinephilia, just the more I watch it, the more I love it to this day. And understand why that film had such an impact on me at such a young age. But I do think it's funny that Carrie, huge hit, then The Fury was coming out, Amy Irving in both movies. Amy Irving's character in The Fury, very similar to Sissy Spacek's character in Carrie. You know, George Lucas was making Star Wars at the time. De Palma, feeling pretty confident, was like, no one's going to see this movie about space wizards. Everyone went to go see Star Wars. No one went to go see Fury. In a just world, both movies would be hits, but I do think, I just find that little tidbit to be kind of fascinating.
he was like, who is Harrison Ford? I got John Cassavetes. And you'll never know what's going to happen to him by the end of it.
I do love the bit in the Spielberg documentary that HBO did a few years ago where like they include the bit where De Palma just like he saw a rough cut of Star Wars, I think, and he just like when they went out to dinner he just like yelled at Lucas the whole time about how the movie made no fucking sense. He just like embarrassed him in front of all of his friends. It's very funny.
One that I do not like, Dressed to Kill in 1980.
I like that movie, but I cannot defend
it. No, defend it right now.
If you'd let me finish my sentence, I would say I'm not going to defend its more problematic elements. But I think in terms of, like, Jesus Christ, the craftsmanship, I mean, the tracking shots, that whole sequence in the museum is just incredible. And I actually do think, misguided as some things in that film are, I don't think De Palma is unempathetic to any of those characters. I really think that for as X-rated as that movie was known to be, and as dated as many of its views on gender and sex are, I don't know. It does, you know, it's his psycho thing. You know what? I think it's worth watching and wrestling with. I do. But, you know, am I the only one who likes this movie?
I didn't love it when I watched it a few years ago, but I was also very sleepy when I watched it, so that might have affected it. I'll probably revisit it someday. The thing about De Palma is he has a lot of movies, so I'm fine if I don't love that one, because there's a lot of others I love. Yes. Yeah.
Speaking of one I love, Blowout in 1981, just goddamn gorgeous, beautiful masterpiece of a film.
Oh, it's fucking unbelievable. I saw it for the. I mean, I've loved it since college, but I saw it in theaters on the 4th of July. First time I ever saw it on film, let alone in a theater. Just fucking unbelievable. I mean, that and Carrie are, like, I'd argue neck and neck for my favorites of his, and this one being like just a notch below it, but.
The thing about Blowout, I did not like it when it came out. When it came out,
you weren't conceived yet.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like a lot of things. I didn't like Breathing, Existing. No, when I first saw it, I didn't really like it. And I watched it again, and I was like, okay, I kind of like it. I guess I could see why people watch it. And the third time I watched it, like, when the scream happens, I was just like, oh yeah. This is a 10 out of 10. I don't know what to tell you.
It's you know, it's not like the most devastating thing you've ever seen or anything. It's not that movie's so brilliantly slippery that it actually tricks you into, like, convincing you that you are until the movie's over that you've watched the very movie that it's making fun of you for watching the entire time. Like,
You know what kicks ass? But if somebody's like, I don't really like that movie, I'm just be like, yeah, it's fine. Scarface, 1983. Scarface rules. Sorry to be that guy.
It's good.
I like that movie.
I like Scarface.
Body Double, 1984. Sorry to be that guy. I don't like this movie.
You don't like Body Double? Body Double
No,
rips.
I do not.
That seems like it's got you written all over it.
I'll probably rewatch it.
When was the last time you saw Body Double?
Sounds like you gotta relax, Kevin.
God damn it. I was about to say, well, the only parts that I liked are Frankie Goes to Hollywood. That was it. Untouchables, 1987. That's a good movie. That was just a good movie. They send one to the hospital. We send one to the morgue. Casualties of War, 1989. Watched that last night. Totally chill film, just right there.
Yeah, have you fully recovered from that emotionally grueling experience yet?
It's the
sequence on
the
the sequence on the bridge is like one of his best set pieces. That's also just like
that's what I was gonna say, because going into it, I thought it was gonna be like the assault aspect. I thought that was gonna be like the worst of it. Not that that's not a terrible part of it, but it's like everything afterwards is arguably harder
wrenching.
to watch.
Yeah, it's just emotionally just so tough to take. that sequence on the bridge where
it's so good.
It's unbelievable filmmaking that is just like you want to leave the room while you're because it feels like too much to.
I got jump scared like 20 minutes in. The guy from Dexter, the surprise motherfucker guy, when he gets shot, I like almost screamed. I just got scared so fucking bad. Bonfire of the Vanities, 1990. Fucking Christ almighty.
It's a fascinating failure. It's a truly what is this type of movie that I don't find it boring. I find it kind of catastrophic.
I mean, I don't know about that movie. One, I thought it was bad, and then I was just like, okay, but I mean, there's a fucking 18-hour audiobook. I'm gonna listen to this at work, and then I was just like, that's a lot of time for a movie I hated. So I listened to the TCM miniseries they did on it, that the author of that book did, and I was like, there's nothing controversial or like the studios did this or anything like that. It was like, this sounds like a normal ass mainstream production. Like the most out there thing that happened was Bruce Willis like started to direct a scene, and then Brian De Palma was like, hey man, don't do that, and he was like, okay.
Well, I
think that's it.
I mean, I haven't read the book. I assume you haven't either. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, the subject matter is extremely provocative and dicey and deals with racism in ways that are not sensitively handled, and if anything, are arguably, while trying to be progressive, are actually unintentionally not. I'll just say that. So I think that's what made it such a disaster, is you're kind of like, and, especially after, De Palma is capable of making something satirical about bigotry, like, Hi Mom, as we talked about, but Bonfire of the Vanities is like a big Hollywood blockbuster that's all about the most popular book in the 1980s that was already supposed to be pretty scathing and mean, and they didn't know what to do with it based on everything that I know and saw last night after watching it for the first time. So I would never tell anyone to not watch it, though, because there's no way anyone watching it won't just be like, wait a minute, what?
What is this?
yeah, like...
Knocks on glass.
How did this happen?
Like, well, it happened because everybody was just like, Casualties of War, as good as that movie is, we don't want to talk about that, so we're not going to go see it. And then De Palma was just like, well, I'm sad. And they were just like, well, you can go make Bonfire of the Vanities. And he was like, I guess. That sounds like something.
I mean, Vilmos Zsigmond still shoots the shit out of that movie like he shoots a good chunk of De Palma's movies, but tonally that thing is misguided. So, yeah.
I was blowing up the group chat, but yeah, there's like 97 people in Casualties of War, and it's like all their first movie, and it's pretty nuts.
John C. Reilly, John Leguizamo, yeah.
A few other people. My man from Mindhunters.
Holt McCallany. I guess your preferred Holtz as opposed to Nicholas.
Yeah, he rules.
Maybe mine too. Yeah.
He's literally in it for like 5 seconds. But Carlito's Way in 1993. Speaking of John Leguizamo,
one of my favorite De Palmas.
Yes,
yeah, kicks
same.
ass.
That's top 5 De Palma for me. I mean, remarkable filmmaking. And
Yeah, it's good shit.
yeah,
It's so sad. Oh my gosh.
oh, it's
I mean,
so sad. Yeah.
I mean, Charlie, we did our music week recently, and I included the endings score by Patrick Doyle at the end. Remember Me, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional listening to this.
I know, and it's a movie that tells you at the very, very beginning how it's going to end, and it still gets you. And that
Benny
whole
Blanco from the Bronx, remember me?
I know, and that whole subway chase in Penn Station is that's one of the best things De Palma's ever done. I mean, the camera
He's
work
really-
in that is just
During Black Dahlia, which we'll get like 20 minutes on that, but he has a really big, I don't know where the Eckhart scene happens without spoiling it, but like that scene, the scene in Untouchables with the stairs, and Carlito's Way at the subway, like they all feel like they're all like the same scene almost. Like he has
And
a
Femme
really
Fatale with the slow mo, like they all have like almost all those set pieces. I think have like real like extreme slow mo and everything.
yeah,
where,
he
like,
has
as
his
people are, like,
he has his aesthetic fetishes, you know, like he just loves.
he has the thing where he's just like, what if people died in an area that like a lot of people go to? Like,
And, like,
what if?
and also like there were people like who are watching from like different height levels, and it's sort of adding that sense of helplessness too and everything. Like Untouchables, all the people who are at the bottom of the stairs and can't stop the baby carriage, and Femme Fatale, all like Banderas is watching from like above and he can't stop the terrible accidents about to happen, and Blowout too. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's
Yeah,
so
he has a thing for heights. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rebecca Romijn gets thrown off the balcony
And the
lands
bridge.
conveniently on some carpets.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of people get thrown off of heights. Black Dahlia, same thing. I mean,
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Kevin and I were talking about that earlier. That death is insane.
oh, it's bananas.
It's wild. Mission Impossible 1996. I think it's fine.
It's the best
Snake
one.
Eyes,
It's the best one.
I think I underrated that one. That one is so good.
It rules. It
Fallout.
rules.
Come on.
I
man.
love it.
Fallout.
I like
do love
Fallout.
that one, too.
Fallout's probably my number 2. But I do remember just watching Mission Impossible for like I'd only seen the first half of it as a kid, but remember being so like, oh shit, everybody dies in the first 15 minutes, like, and then watching the whole movie through, and then it, then as an adult, being a person who caught up with a lot of De Palma movies, just being like, oh shit, it's all here. Oh god, I love how he's just able to like, just make a film that is clearly a mainstream Hollywood blockbuster, but also just has his fingerprints all over it and got to do exactly what he wanted to do in terms of the set pieces. I mean, the iconic one where he's hanging from the wire, hacking into the system is just
that's so good. And I love the scene with him and Henry Czerny in the restaurant with all those Dutch angles and the exploding fish tank.
Oh,
so
the
good.
exploding fish tank rules. Even the train sequence at the end that has dated CGI, it's still great. Like, okay, does it look kind of cheesy now? Yeah, but you know what?
Mission Impossible has to be his biggest budgeted. Well, Mission to Mars maybe. But
It's a good
I would say
question.
that Mission Impossible is probably his most successful mainstream movie.
I
right?
would think so.
As far as critically, like, it doesn't seem like he left that and was just like, oh man, I got railroaded. I'm never going to do this again. Like, that feels like the one that really succeeded. Like, Carlito's Way is a mainstream movie, but it's not Mission Impossible, Let's see. Snake Eyes in 1998. Snake Eyes is a fun time.
Yeah, good movie.
Yeah.
The ending
Opening
was
scene?
compromised, but even with that, still good movie. The opening tracking shot of that movie is one of the best things De Palma has ever done.
Well, speaking of open tracking shots, we were talking about the Bonfire of the Vandies opened like 5-6 minutes all on one shot. It goes
Yeah.
them through a fucking airplane to an elevator to like all the shit all in one shot, and it's pretty fucking phenomenal.
Oh, when it started, I was like, oh, maybe this movie won't suck because it's got that amazing opening tracking shot that De Palma has, and then the rest of the movie happened, and I was like, uh-oh.
Let's see, Mission to Mars 2000. Brian, you watched this. What do you think about Mission to Mars or Red
I think
Planet?
it's okay.
Or Space Cowboys?
I like still haven't seen Space Cowboys. That's another sci-fi.
That's not De
tourist,
Palma.
to watch. Yeah,
That's Eastwood.
I thought it was okay. I liked the first hour of it quite a bit, especially like it seems like De Palma's having a lot of fun. Like we said with all the tracking shots, he's like saying, "Well, what if we applied that to like a zero gravity environment?" And like I was saying to Kevin earlier that the dance scene to Van Halen's "Dance the Night Away" feels like something that De Palma's buddy Spielberg song was like, huh, interesting. And then he did like in Ready Player One with Ty Sheridan and Olivia Cooke dancing the Bee Gees in the air.
Remember when Olivia Cooke in that movie was just like, I am so hideous and disfigured, and she has like barely anything on her face, and just like, what are we doing?
And then I don't know. I feel like with Mission to Mars though, it's just like I check out. I feel like the movie just like loses tension once they land on Mars and everything. And like
It does, a little bit.
And people like talk about like the exposition dumps and stuff like that. And it's what's up, Kevin? What did I say?
Brian's like, wait a minute, this is about a mission to Mars. It's not called Mars. Get the fuck off the planet. This shit sucks.
And then I don't know. I just feel like the ending. I did sort of like the big montage of like Gary Sinise's life at the end, which I was thinking like, I'm getting a lot of Vanilla Sky vibes from this. but then like the last line
I'll watch
is like
shit.
it like especially as opposed to Femme Fatale, which has like such a great like funny like joke of the last line. Mission to Mars just feels like such a like a nothing line where it's like, have a great ride, Jim, directed by Brian De Palma. I'm like, what? What?
Yeah.
It's so underwhelming. But I do like a lot of the technical elements. I mean, like the score by Ennio Morricone is really good.
It's great. I mean, it's also a PG-rated movie where a random guy gets torn apart by a sand tornado within the first 5 minutes, and it's based off of a Disney.
PG-rated movie put out by Disney.
Yeah,
sir.
Disney.
Yeah,
and
but I just feel like
No, also the set piece in which they're all falling to Mars and Tim Robbins has to make a pivotal sacrifice
that's the peak of the movie
is
for me.
unbelievable. Where I was just like, this is like just a pure De Palma set piece set again within this weird Disney theme park based ride movie.
Yeah, that's
it's
so bizarre.
And it's actually pretty terrifying. For like a PG-rated movie, I don't know how he got away with that rating. I mean, I also find that movie very endearing, though. Like, for everything you're saying, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I just like the sincerity behind it. I enjoyed it.
No, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. And it's not like, I feel like people like noted like the optimism of the movie as some people have read it. Which I can see, but also I was like, part of me was like thinking like, is there like maybe a more subversive, maybe a more cynical take to it, which maybe there is, but that's not the first time De Palma's done it. I mean, like Carlito's Way we talked about, like that's a very nakedly emotional movie, and I think that works beautifully. Mm-hmm. But like here, I don't know, it just like I think that the Tim Robbins set piece, like his big sacrifice is like, that's like a perfect melding of like the urgency of like the movie at its best, where like it's like, shit, every decision that we've made leads to like a new disastrous problem that we need to sort of like find a way to improvise and like get out of and everything. Like that's like when the movie's in that mode, it's like really thrilling, and also like having like the nakedly emotional sacrifice and like all the relationships. I think he's a really good actor, so he's able to nail that. But then when they get to Mars, I just feel like that sense of momentum is not just there to sort of complement the sort of more earnest parts of the movie, as much as the cast
We're
tries.
only on Mars for like what, the last 20 minutes?
It's like the last like 40-50 minutes in the movie.
Is it
I
really?
Like checked, like I think it's like an hour in that that they're having the scene where they're falling into Mars's atmosphere. I think it's like an hour in, and it's a 110-minute movie, or maybe the credits start rolling at like hour 45. Because I mean, I say that I think I know this because I was checking my watch a little bit. Like if it near down, it's like but sorry. I'm talking way too much about this movie that we're not talking about, but on the show.
What about the scene where Tim Robbins lands on Mars and he's like, I don't want to be here anymore? Didn't that happen? Okay, after Femme Fatale, Black Dahlia, 2006. Let's go as long but as short as we can. I watched this for the first time. This is a fucking ridiculous ass movie, but I liked it.
It is undeniably a mess and a flawed object, but my god, do I love that movie. That movie
What's her name that plays the
rules.
mom?
Fiona
Because
Shaw. Oh my god.
Yeah, she should have got like 19 Oscars.
She's
That
in like
dinner
2
scene
scenes
is-
of that movie, and she steals everything from.
That dinner scene, the first one, is the funniest fucking thing ever.
When
The
she can't even-
Germans, they're good people. Hitler went a bit overboard.
Yeah, Hitler was a bit excessive. Yeah. She can't even hold her utensils right. At one point, she's just like, I know this is great podcast listening, but like, she can't even like cut her steak or whatever. She's also like double fisting like a martini and a glass of wine, and then just. And then, without spoiling anything, she goes on a huge monologue at the end that is just like, I love that De Palma can't help himself and turn it into just a feast of camp. Like, it's just so gloriously over the top, even though I'm sure it drove everybody nuts back in the day. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time. And then the ending happens, and De Palma's like, what if we had 19 endings? And somebody's like, I don't care. I really don't care. Let's just go. Redacted, 2007. I wanted to watch this before the pod, didn't get to, but I'm very interested in this.
Yeah, I haven't watched this one either, but that's on my list as well.
Oh, God, I don't want to talk about it. Passion from 2012 and Domino from 2019. Only 4 films since Femme Fatale, which I found surprising.
Yeah, Kevin doesn't like fun, so he didn't like Passion.
I mean, he's fucking dumb as all hell.
Yeah, and it knows it. It's great. You didn't enjoy the fact that Rachel McAdams is like, I don't know, has a jacuzzi in her living room and is playing Regina George all grown up?
The jacuzzi in the living room, that alone should be like, yeah, she did it. But yeah. Like 30 seconds on Domino. Have y'all both seen it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that movie like compromised to all hell?
Yes. It is very compromised. It doesn't make
There's a couple of interesting set pieces, though.
It does have amazing set pieces. It's just, you can tell that it was like stitched together with like every inch of its life with, you know, it's just, it's not very coherent. I mean,
A lot of bland establishing shots. Yeah.
yeah. And I love the Black Dahlia, which, you know, by the time everybody's standing around explaining everything, it makes absolutely no sense. And they're like, that one character who was in the background for like half a scene was like the person behind everything. And you're just like, huh? That does what? But like, at least the Black Dahlia is like, you know, it's a film noir, and like film noir is never really about coherency of plot. And it's shot by Vilma Sigmund, and, you know, like it fucking is rich and, you know, just delicious to behold, whereas Domino is a little more, like hokey pokey in terms of like the way it looks and feels, I'd say, as much as
Domino also seems like a movie that has like the first 3 minutes is just production company logos. It seems like one of those movies. Okay, let's get through. We only have like 2 people to talk for starring, but starring Rebecca Romijn, credited as Rebecca Romijn Stamos at the time, as Lori and Lily. Prior to this, her first film, Dirty Work, 1998, folks, as the bearded lady. Absolutely, that's right. Note to self: I don't want to live.
Not one of my favorite jokes in that movie. But yeah, I forgot that she was in that.
I like that movie. I completely forgot she was in it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. Plays, quote-unquote, herself in Austin Powers: The Spy Who Shagged Me in 1999. X-Men in 2000. Same year as this. Run, Ronnie, Run. She plays, quote-unquote, herself again. Also the same year. Rollerball. That's right. Not a good film. And she's uncredited in Simone, a.k.a. S1M0NE. After this, the next 2 X-Men sequels. Punisher 2004, listen to our episode. Also, Godsend in 2004, that was a LimeWire-ass watch right there. 33 episodes of Ugly Betty from 07 to 08. 42 episodes of a show called The Librarians from 2014 to 2018.
I'm just imagining that show is just Rebecca Romijn just going, shh, to everybody.
I said, yeah, just going nuts. I believe it was a TNT vehicle. I'll ask my father about it. Satanic Panic in 2019. I've never seen it, but I just know that whenever Walmart sold the movie, they changed the title on the slipcover to just say Panic. They're like, you can't say satanic. The movie's just called Panic.
And then one person was like, oh, like the Amazon show? And they're like, shut up. No one knows what you're talking about.
and then Dan Mecca walked in and he was like, no, like the William H. Macy vehicle. And then both of them got escorted out of the Walmart. In one episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm in 2020. Antonio Banderas as Nicolas Bardot. Prior to this, like 47 Pedro Almodovar films. I did this like an hour before I had to jump on here. Philadelphia, 1993. Interview with the Vampire, 1997. Desperado, 1995. The Mask of Zorro, 1998. Like 47 Spy Kids films. The same year as this, Frida. And you bet your ass the same year he was in Ballistic: Eeks versus Sever. And I'm still ashamed I haven't watched that.
X versus Sever?
No, it's Eeks.
It's X, isn't it?
X. No, it's like Ekans, like the Pokemon. Come on now.
I'm waiting for. We'll wait for the sequel. Ballistic: Eeks versus Oz.
Oh boy, he's also in Baby Girl, which I was able to see early, and I think it's very amusing that Nicole Kidman is just so like sexually frustrated and unsatisfied when she's married to Antonio Banderas. I'm like, that is some pointed
it's like
commentary.
Ever. Yeah.
Oh no, I think that's absolutely part of the point, you know? Like, it's just...
Yeah.
No, it is absolutely part of the point. Like,
I've been hearing, yes, I know that, Charlie, because I've been hearing Helena Ryan talk about that, wanting to cast a very masculine actor like Antonio Banderas in the Cineplex pre-roll for like the last month or so.
there is a scene that I felt so bad for it where Nicole Kidman's like, you have never sexually satisfied me. It's just poor sad Antonio Banderas, and you're just like, that is not true. Like,
He's just like, I'm so sorry, the lead of Being the Ricardos. I'm so sorry.
hey, don't talk about Mother like that.
After this, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, I still haven't seen any of the Rob Rod Mexican trilogy. I need to watch those. Also, after this, in competition for the Palme d'Or at Cannes Film, Shrek 2 in 2004, my eyes glazed over on his filmography, just ping-ponging between, like, Spy Kids this, Shrek this, until The Skin I Live In and Haywire in 2011. Life Itself in 2018, I need to watch that dumpster fire. I need to do that. Nominated for an Oscar for Pain and Glory from 2019.
He arguably should have won, according to me.
Who won?
Joaquin Phoenix for his worst performance.
He's not good in Joker.
No,
folks.
he's in fact quite bad. And
Joker Folia did, though? I don't know.
Kevin, I see that we have lost several listeners. I apologize.
We didn't want them. If they've made it this far after we've done like 30 minutes on De Palma and they're just like, yeah, this is what I want. Wait a minute. Don't talk shit about Joker.
I haven't seen it, to be clear. And you know what? I'm not
Gonna keep it that way.
Yeah, I don't recommend that movie go near anybody's eyes.
Okay, but let me talk about a movie we've all seen and loved. He's in Doolittle in 2020, and he has 5 movies this year with Baby Girl coming out soon. Mm-hmm. So this man be working. Peter Coyote as Watts and Greg Henry as Schiff. And also something that I've been meaning to want to start incorporating into the pod, but I always forget, is the IMDb keywords, which are always funny. Femme Fatale has 195 keywords, so I went all the funny ones I could find. Okay. Now, keywords are, things that people, you look through and be like, oh, this movie is a slasher film. That's a keyword. Okay, what other slasher films? Who are looking up these keywords, and I want them on a list. Keywords for Femme Fatale. Breastplay. Okay. Voyeur and voyeurism. Really?
And for a Brian De Palma movie?
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Female to female footsie playing. Let's not think about who wanted that keyword. Napoleon Bonaparte character? Well, what does that mean? There's a guy named Napoleon in it. I don't think he's cosplaying as Bonaparte, though. Speaking of Joaquin.
I also think it's funny that, like, those first three things is like, I mean, I guess there are people who looked it up. Why are you going to IMDb as your source for that?
There are other websites where you can clearly get that sort of access much easier. Yeah.
Keyword bedroom, just bedroom. Be like, I need to find movies that take place in a bedroom. Yeah, I need that. Pretending to be gay, that's a keyword.
I don't know
Who
if
is
they're
that about?
pretending. I think those characters are just bisexual.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about when Antonio Banderas goes into her hotel? Is he
I guess you know what?
on...
Yeah, which I love because that kind of is
it's
a play
awesome.
because it's
I
very
love
much
that.
a play on his old Almodovar. Yeah, like
Yeah, he's
roles.
like, I sit right here. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You
I
need
sit
to
right here. I was looking for my disc.
It's it's not a disc. It's so much as like a circular. It's a floppy. Yeah.
That's not your business. It isn't, but it is.
Keyword hallway. Yep. Okay. Fight. Okay. What fight? Who's looking up just, I want movie with fight. That's what I want. And also, if you're looking for fighting movies and you watch Femme Fatale, you're going to get very disappointed. Trivia. Melanie Griffin convinced her husband, Antonio Banderas, to take the role, even though it wasn't the lead. She did it as a favor to De Palma, who had given her a big break in films decade before with Body Double and Bonfire of the Vanities. Mm-hmm. Uma Thurman was originally cast as Laura Ashe, but canceled when she became pregnant. I would still prefer Rebecca Romijn. I think she's pretty good.
I think Rebecca Romijn should have won a fucking Oscar for this movie, but I would also watch the Uma Thurman. I'm not saying it would have been, I love the movie as is, think it's the perfect version of it, but I would watch the Uma Thurman version if it was available.
Right. Which is also funny, when I was going through the Bonfire of the Vanities stuff, I think she was the first one to audition for the Melanie Griffith role
Yes.
for Bonfire of the Vanities. And they were just like, no. And Tom Hanks was like, no, I don't see it either.
And then they were like, Bruce Willis, you're in this movie. And he was like, huh?
He's like, well, I am? They were like, yeah, we're going to pay you like $20 million.
And he's like, I don't want to be
"Sure."
here. And they were like, too bad. And he's like, well, I'm going to be a fucking asshole. Like, yeah.
Where was I at? Antonio Banderas didn't really see himself as the character Bardo, but he wanted to learn directorial skills from Brian De Palma. He shared this thought with De Palma, who agreed to teach him everything he wanted to know if Banderas took the part, which made me laugh because, like, De Palma was like, dog, I'll teach you sign language if you take the fucking part. I don't care. He can be like, yeah, come on, just take the part. I'll teach you anything. Just take the fucking part. Mm-hmm. We watched this before the pod, but one of the trailers of the film consists of a clip from Double Indemnity, which is just the intro of the movie, and then the entire span of the movie, including the credits, albeit with all but a few seconds of the movie greatly sped up to preserve its twists, and it fits into an under 3-minute span. We watched it. I think it's the UK trailer. It's pretty cool. It ends with the credits of the film rolling, and it says, "You just watched Brian De Palma's new film. You didn't get it? Try again." Which, I don't think if I see that, I'm just going to be like, you know what? I will try it again. I'll just be like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here. The Golden Diamond Snake was created for the film by singer and actress Elia Medeiros, who was dating Brian De Palma at the time. Jean Reno was considered for the role of Nicholas Bardo.
Jean Reno?
What did I say?
You said
Janet
Jean
Reno?
Janet
Reno was
Jean Reno
considered
911. Yeah.
God damn it. Jean Reno. Yeah, I can see that, but if I'm trying to see, like, Reens being sexy, he should only be soft-spoken assassin or fist-fight Godzilla, and that's pretty much what I see him as. Rebecca Romijn got the role via being in Rollerball. Let me back up.
That's
the producer of the
pretty
film,
wild.
while casting the movie, met with John McTiernan, and he was like, yo, we just made Rollerball, and Slipknot was there, and the shit was wild, but y'all should hire Becky Romains because she was great. This led to her auditioning in Paris, and unanimously, everybody was like, yeah. Lastly, this is just mean, but I added it in here. Rebecca Romijn was initially reluctant to do the movie due to the amount of sex and nudity that the role would require, but she decided to do it, hoping it would do for her what it did for Sharon Stone when she did Basic Instinct. Unfortunately, the movie did poorly at the box office and may have hurt her career. Okay, IMDb trivia person, maybe ease up there just a little bit.
No. B, if there was any justice, it would have. I mean, I think it's the same type of high caliber performance that Sharon Stone gives in Basic Instinct. I think she's fucking incredible in this movie.
Yeah, and I mean Sharon Stone. I mean, I'm not like dissing her performances or anything, but like, yeah, Sharon Stone's career she got like kind of the raw.
It's almost like
raw deal.
It's almost like Hollywood is mean to actresses who take on roles that playing sexually confident women. Interesting.
Well, yeah, it's like everybody in Hollywood is like, yeah, that was hot, and they were like, should we cast her? And they're like, oh heavens, no, like we're not doing that. We'll set her aside for a delayed sequel in like 13 years. That sound good? Good? Okay.
From director Brian De Palma, master of the erotic thriller, comes a new suspense sensation.
This top supermodel's wearing more than you'd think. 10 million in diamonds.
This isn't a game tonight. People can die. Remember, no names and no guns.
Go.
The witch double-crossed us. She ran away with the diamonds.
Where are the diamonds?
Nicholas Bardo?
Speaking.
You took a picture of Mrs. Watts? I don't
Right,
think you realize who you're dealing with, Mr. Bardo. We know all about you.
I have a past here. It only takes one photo.
Are you flirting with me? She set me up for you guys to get me out of the way.
That's what it's all about. Me disappearing.
2 lives.
The only thing missing is the ambassador's wife.
2 worlds.
I made you jealous.
Jealous? Yes.
1 woman.
I'm a bad girl.
Femme Fatale.
That's all the trivia I got. Charlie, you brought the movie to the table. What is your initial thoughts?
My initial well, I've seen this movie.
When did you see it? I'm curious, like, what your first exposure
I saw it
was.
for the first time in college, so I think it was like 10 years old at the time, maybe a little less. I was really getting into Brian De Palma. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, Carrie's always been one of my favorite movies since I was 13. And I remember watching Blowout in college really sent me, because Blowout just shook me up and emotionally destroyed me, while also putting me in leaving me completely spellbound by De Palma's craftsmanship and how visceral his movies are, and making me think about, oh yeah, I fell under the same spell watching Carrie, so then I went, and watched as many De Palma films as I could. And I remember Femme Fatale definitely had a smaller cult I'd say it's got a much bigger following now. I got it for like $5 used at Newbury Comics, and I liked it up until the ending, which I was very wrong about, because I remember, we'll get into the plot, but I remember feeling like, that's a dumb cop-out, without realizing that that's all part of the fun of the movie, because I was dumb and I was like, I don't know, 20 years old or something like that. And then I kept revisiting it, because how could you not revisit this movie? It's such a fucking blast, and just is so much about why movies are amazing. Like, I think it's what I kept returning to about this film is that it's on a sensory level provides everything that you love about De Palma, in the way that he loves older movies, but then also loves adapting new ideas and new ways to film certain things that we have been obsessed with, noir archetypes and beautiful women and voyeurism and just dream logic and all this stuff. But it is kind of a French art house movie that's also just very much about just the joy of filmmaking in general. I mean, it has all the De Palma aesthetics with the split screens and the tracking shots and the slow motion and everything like that. It kind of is just such a fun ride. I feel like it works if you're really into film on an academic level. I feel like it works if you're just looking for a fun, thrill ride. I feel like it's just a director not giving a fuck. I love how this plot just goes all over the place. And if you read early reviews, a lot of people are like, this doesn't make any sense, or stuff like that. And I think it was one podcast, I think it was The Suspense is Killing Us, was like, you can hear De Palma hearing all these criticisms and being like, oh, that's not my problem. Like, it's just, I think this movie is very much also about calling us out on certain things that we love in film, while also, like most De Palma movies, they're about watching and being watched, and what the camera's doing in a self-reflexive way. One thing that we are set up with in the beginning is a very leery lesbian sex scene that at the end of the movie ends up being, the whole point of this was to be titillated and not even pay attention to what was really going on here, and then kind of dupe that into a bigger part of the plot. And at the end of the day, the plot doesn't even matter. It's all just about the joy of watching genre tropes. I think it's, a lot of people wrote this movie off as being very dumb back in the day. And while it is undeniably silly, I think it's very honest and very beautifully made trash about why we're gravitating towards these types of genre movies to begin with. Sometimes that's just why we go to movies, for visceral thrills.
Yeah, the ending is, I think it's so funny, and it's like De Palma's being so playful too. Like, I mean, all the little visual jokes in the movie, like the cat playing with the laser equipment at the start of the heist and everything when everything's going wrong. I mean, it's like a fun joke also being paired with the great sense of rhythm that he has, in cross-cutting between all these different lines of action. It's so exciting.
It's just, yeah, it just wants to be a ride. It's a movie that argues about, just kind of being like, it was all a dream. Movies are kind of meant to be dreamy,
Is this the most meta that De Palma ever went?
I mean, this is meta. Body Double's pretty meta.
Yeah.
Hi Mom's pretty meta.
I mean, I guess he kind of, almost every decade kind of goes a little meta.
It revels in all the Hitchcock tropes that, De Palma was sometimes criticized for, but I feel like he does things with the camera, has his own form of cinematic language that Hitchcock does not, that I feel like updates to where filmmaking was going in after Hitchcock passed away, that is very much commenting on our own thirsts and desires and what we want to see in terms of sex and violence, and just in terms of almost our heteronormative gaze that I also love this, because I was kind of, sometimes I wonder, I'm a very, I'm a queer cinephile, and De Palma is undeniably one of our most hetero, horny film bro filmmakers. But Michael Koreski wrote this really great piece called Queer Now and Then, talking about how Femme Fatale is a movie that is undeniably De Palma's queerest movie, and how it works perfectly for straight hetero dudes and queer filmmakers, because it's also not only just like all about Rebecca Romijn and Antonio Banderas being two very, very hot filmmakers and the camera is in love with them, but also how they're also putting on all these drag personas throughout the movie and kind of trying on their own identities and all these own characters and whatnot, becoming their own characters throughout the movie and whatnot. And I find that all very, very fascinating.
You want to know what I was thinking about the first 10 minutes of this movie?
What?
Ocean's 8.
I never saw Ocean's 8.
Because I was just like, yeah. I was listening to the podcast about it, and I watched the movie when it came out, and I was just like, damn, yeah, it's no good. But anytime like I think about it, I was just like, wait, fucking this person's in it, all these people are in it, and there's a heist at the Met Gala? Like, maybe I was wrong
Cannes
about this
Film
movie.
Festival. Oh wait, is that Ocean's 8 that's at the Met Gala?
Ocean's 8, yeah.
Okay.
But when I was watching it, I was just like, is it at Cannes? I was like, no, it's the Met Gala. But I was just like, how is that? And then I listened to a podcast, and then even they were just like, yeah, if you just talk about it, this sounds like the dopest movie ever. And then you watch it, and I was just like, yeah, well, yeah. So I was thinking about Ocean's 8 for some reason. But yeah, everything at Cannes is fucking just the most metal shit ever. It's so awesome. Why is there a cat at Cannes?
I love
very
it.
curious about that. I mean, yeah, it's great. Let's see. I don't have any big insights other than, yeah, this movie's great, and the ending makes me sad. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like, just because there's no real connection between our two leads. Like, not really. They feel like alien people in the best way. But whenever they look at each other and they're like, do we know it? Like, maybe it's just that, not necessarily trope, but that kind of thing where it's just like, we used to know each other in a different lifetime. They can kind of get me emotional. But...
Well, she knows who he is. I don't think he knows who she is.
No,
and I think it's like a joke, but also like kind of optimistic. Like at the end of like showing like
it's a meet cute that is not really a meet cute. Yeah.
No, because nothing's gonna happen. Especially because at the end we realized that she was double crossing the double crossers of the double crossers.
The only person that she doesn't double cross is a woman, by the way. The only other woman in the movie.
Yeah, they seem cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess when you think about the ending, and then they were in cahoots the entire time, because I thought it was funny during the bathroom scene and whatnot. She's like, nope, we gotta go. And like, where it's just like, no, she's talking to her because she's in on it. Like, we need to go because...
Yeah.
Yeah,
because she's in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Also love how later on she's just decked out in camo gear, and it's just the most obvious. Like, that person stands out so hard in a crowd of people. Yeah.
God, the first time you see that scene, because the second time it's a little different. The first time that scene happens, where it's just all legs, no sound, just footsteps, is so fucking good.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I don't think I've ever said this about another movie that Rebecca Romijn is in, but yeah, she's pretty fucking phenomenal in this, playing like 9 different characters, and all of them are vastly different.
Yeah.
And then she plays different characters after the twist happens. Like, plays the same characters, but wildly different, and it's just wild.
I think it's also part of the joke that her accents aren't very good. Like, I honestly think that makes her performance better, that they're not very good accents.
Well, yeah, she's playing a character who's supposed to be French, and she's pretending to be French, but she's not actually, like...
Yeah.
There's a lot. She's a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude, yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, because the bathroom scene is definitely 1000% given into De Palma's horniness, but I was going to say that, like, it's also doesn't give into that for the rest of the movie, kind of, because, like, the sex scene they have is, like, not very sexy. He's, like, talking about what's happening and whatnot, and it just ends kind of abruptly.
The sex scene between her and Banderas is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, see?
I laughed so hard every single time. Yeah.
how they keep having those De Palma Dutch angles and everything, and it's like used to show like the shifting power dynamics. Every time Banderas thinks he has the upper hand, she's like, no, I know more than you, and like she gets on top of him, and it's like a seesaw. It's so funny.
When he says we could just run away together, and she's like, oh, that's so sweet. Yeah. And then she gets on top of him, and she's like, that's so romantic, but without the money? Are you nuts? And then she climaxes. He doesn't, I don't think, but she does. And then
she says clean yourself up, so I guess he does.
No. Oh, I get. Well, she says wipe it. It's a close up of two of them, and she looks down at where his he hasn't pulled his pants up, and says, "So wipe it off, and let's go.
Let's go to the bridge." Yeah, let's run away together. Sir, like, she is extorting you, like, in 19 different ways, and you're just like, no, it would be so much better if we just got out of here. You're just like, what do you think's gonna happen, sir?
She's so funny when she's like, she's insulting him, but making it sound like, she's so gentle about it. It's like, you don't have to think about anything. like saying, like, you dumb piece of shit, or anything. And he's, like, white knighting himself, always, like, saying, like, blackmail, you offered me money. Like, he's, like, just, like, acting like he's, like, I'm in the right here. I'm trying to do a good thing, but also, like, please give me money.
Yeah, I love when she's finally revealed on the bridge. That's, like, the most fun that she has.
Oh God, when he's trying to do the right thing and she shoots somebody and then points the gun at him and is like, what the fuck do you think you're doing?
So good. I will say that on brand for me, whenever he goes to get the inhaler and she sets him up and all of that, and he's being interrogated and he says something about like, oh, mysteries. I don't really like mysteries. I stop near the middle or some shit like that. It reminded me of course, the Simpsons joke where it's just like, get this hamster. He writes mysteries. He's like, how can a hamster write mysteries? He starts at the end and it works backwards. Bryden, it was your first time. I want to hear the initial thoughts.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. This is maybe just outside my top 5 for De Palma, but I still need to see Wise Guys.
I haven't seen Wise Guys either. We actually completely skipped over Wise Guys.
You have not even got to know your rabbit. Like, you have no opinion.
I need to wise up and get to know my rabbit.
Yeah.
Part of me did have a bit of worry about like, oh man, this late period De Palma just not going to be my thing. Like post 2000 and everything like Mission to Mars, I thought was fine. I thought Black Dahlia was fine. I didn't love Domino. I haven't seen Passion yet. I haven't seen Redacted. But I was just thinking, But no, I found this really fun from the jump. Like how the movie is like constantly like having like frames within frames, whether it's like a character looking at themselves in the TV in the mirror or like in a reflection of something, and having like the split screens and all like the different like reflections of light. Doppelgangers. It's like always like it's
7 years later.
Yeah, no, and it's. I mean, that's the thing too. Is the movies reveal like what is it, like 2/3 of the movie being in a dream and everything. Like if this movie sucked, it would probably piss me off and everything, or it might piss me off in another movie. But like here it works because it's like, well, yeah, like everyone is like using some sort of thing to like to see as like sort of like a cover to like pull a fast one on someone, and like every time like a character is like, like the voyeurism, it's like, so deceptive and everything. Like, Banderas is following Romijn and Henry's following Banderas, and Ebueni and like his guys are following Henry, following Banderas, following Romijn. It's like, but Romijn is the only one who has like is playing with like a full deck and everything. Like she knows like all the information. She's smarter than all of them. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very clever in that regard. And yeah, just like, I mean, the set pieces are just like so fun. I mean, like that first one, it's funny when I saw De Palma, the documentary, I think like they show the final set piece with like the truck collision and everything, which like I was like, okay, so I know we're gonna get to that point later in the movie and everything, but seeing how it differs from like the first take on it and everything, and like all the stuff that like led to it, and like, but De Palma's just also so good at establishing all the moving parts of it and everything, and also like maybe misdirecting. Like when I saw like the kids chasing the ball like down the street, I was like, is that going to factor into it? It's like no. It's like it's the poster guys and like the guys with the gate and like the necklace in the truck is like such a.
I love that guy has had that necklace on attached to his rearview mirror for 7 years.
I didn't think about that.
Just so when the
ending is this ending is sad, dude. It's like. Because when you get to the last shot,
And Romijn's reaction to, like, horrific death, I think, is, like, so funny for how, like, it shows how her character, like, she, like, ultimately, like, doing the right thing is, like, just, like, it's, like, pulling teeth for her and everything. Like, when the other Rebecca Romijn is, like, about to pull the trigger, she's, like, wincing, like, she's, like, tasted, like, a sour lemon and everything. And, like, and then, like, when like, everyone gets, like, brutally impaled on, like, the two guys get brutally impaled on the gate, she just sort of, like, it's, like, huh? Ugh. Like, yeah. And then she, like, grins, and her friend, like, whoa, that was a close one.
Well, then her friend just, like, flips them off and says, fuck you.
It's so funny. Yeah.
Because doesn't her Veronica, I guess, like, her lover, partner, whatever, doesn't she say, like, we shouldn't see each other anymore before she gets up from the table?
She does.
I wonder if after the impaling, she's just like, you know what, this is what we needed to actually come back together. This was a lot of strain on our relationship the past 7 years, looking over our shoulder against a guy 7 years from now who's going to be at a bus stop and wear the same bloody t-shirt that he was shot in.
Oh, I love that detail.
I guess, like, those are the clothes he went to prison in, but, like, yeah, I was thinking, why does he have those clothes? But I mean, that's the other thing, too, about, like, the little... Yes, and I love the little, how he doesn't quite overdo it. It's just, like, little things that are off like that, like the bloody t-shirt, or bloody button shirt, but then, like, also the overflowing fish tank, in addition to the overflowing bathtub at the start. I'm thinking, and then, like, when you see it at the end, in the reality, it's like, yeah, the water levels are normal in the fish tank, because it's not a dream anymore. And then also, the guard who pours the maple syrup on the other security guard, he's the bartender in the sex club.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. When Antonio Banderas goes to buy cigarettes, that's him. Yep.
That's so good. I love that. That's
everybody
it's
in
never
that
explained.
bar
Like,
is fucking. It is the most I've ever. That is an insane scene where everybody is the most, like, has never seen a woman ever before. They're just, like, gawking more than I've ever seen anybody gawk.
Which is funny because, you know, because it is Rebecca Romijn who is beautiful, and De Palma is guilty of that too, but then he puts everybody's feet to the fire. I mean, that whole shot where she's, like, laughing hysterically as Banderas is beating the shit out of them, and the silhouette of the fight is going on in the background as she's just, like, mucking it up. It's so good. I mean, that whole striptease set piece, too. Look, I am a very, very gay man, but I'm not, like, you know, Jesus.
Did you question it? Just a little bit?
It's a teensy bit.
Just a little bit?
But it's also, like, I mean,
then Banderas showed up and you were just like, okay.
But I think that is kind of, like, it speaks to the movie's thesis of, you know, why, you know, the whole Femme Fatale archetype is so fascinating to begin with. I mean, it's almost like, you know, if you want to measure it up, it's almost doing the same thing. Maybe this is a stretch, but the whole Club Silencio thing in Mulholland Drive, where they basically say this is an illusion. And then, like, you know, the whole time you're like, obviously it's operating on two different levels here, but then, you know the whole time what Rebecca Romijn is doing, but then you watch her and just perform that dance and you're like, oh shit, I get why men would throw everything away for this person, you know, like she's objectifying herself in a way, but she knows that she's wielding that as a weapon. I don't find it to be.
She's like, this is silly.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's trying to say anything where she does that and then the guy just immediately tries to assault her.
Oh no!
Right,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
not on her own terms. Like, you know, when she's having fun when she's in power and everything. Yeah. Like, it's
But she's also knowing that's gonna happen. I mean, she even does this, like, fake little, like, knowing Antonio is gonna come. I think that's all control on her end, but the camera is, like, the male gaze and what they are. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's all in her dream. So she's like, of course, all the guys are gawking at me, and this guy's going to come save me, and that's why she's laughing, because she's like, yeah, I knew this was going to happen. Like, real quick, you know what other movie I was thinking of while watching this? Vanilla Sky. Please continue.
Ooh.
Because while watching this, knowing that it was a dream, at the start in the hotel room, which that entire shot, backing up from Double Indemnity, and you're seeing her reflection, you only see the back of her head through that entire scene. And then he's just like, are you dreaming right now? And I was just like, hey, man. And then at the end, at the bridge, he's like, you need to wake up. And I was just like, this is giving me Cameron Diaz at the end of Vanilla Sky vibes. I'm just saying.
It is.
Yeah, in the alternate cut, when that happens, they start playing, gotta get those vibrations out.
It is also very funny on a rewatch where she's like finding the passport and everything after realizing she's in her doppelganger's house, and there's a voice on TV that's like, if you could dream your whole future, would you change it? And she goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Join the LIE Corporation.
Well, at the end where she's holding a gun to herself, or the woman that looks like her, and she's like, forgive me, I'm blowing your mind.
Yeah. Have we met before? Yes, in a life where we were both cats.
Goddamn right. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and also we should mention the score by the late Ryuichi Sakamoto.
Incredible.
It's very fun. Like all like the drums that like keep speeding up, and like the sort of twinkly sort of sounds, which are kind of like a falsely sentimental, sort of wondrous tone to some of the more mysterious scenes. I think that's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think I read that like the score, Palma wanted it to be like a parody of an opera, and I was just like, I am way too dumb to know what that's going for, but sure.
I mean, it is almost kind of like hilariously, that main theme happens during the sex scene in the bathroom stall, and it's almost like it's almost too jovial, like it's almost like innocent sounding music when it's just like and I feel like
and also you were bringing up Mulholland Drive. What was that? Con 2001. That's right, Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive. Right. Yep.
This is like maybe a silly joke for me to make, but maybe it's time we retired the Banderas clenching his fist at his computer and Assassins GIF, and used the GIF of him and Femme Fatale, where he finds the ransom note sent from his email. He's like runs his hands through his hair, and he's like, "Fuck!" He smashes the table.
That is the weirdest looking email I've ever seen. That is like some movie ass emails right there.
Oh yeah.
Where it has a big jumbo thing that's like reply. Let's see. Yeah, we will go through the plot because there's honestly as much double crossing as there is. Wikipedia only has 3 paragraphs, but I do want to. Yes, this takes place at Con 2001. I would just want to go through the opening film for 2001. It was Moulin Rouge, so the French don't know what they're talking about. But Mulholland Drive, The Pledge, the Sean Penn movie, The Pledge. You know what else was in competition? Shrek, that's right.
I'm just going to say, what's the funniest possible movie that they could be watching in the opening scene? It's Shrek.
It's interesting, too, how both Laurie starts off posing as the photographer the entire movie, and then that flip-flops to Banderas' role in the movie's also just very much about the way people are photographed and seen, much like a lot of other De Palma movies. And I don't just mean De Palma's a horn dog because he loves, like, sex in movies, but I think he just loves filming bodies, filming attractive people, which is fun. I mean, it just is,
Yeah, and you know what? To people who are upset about that, the sex in this movie actually does advance the plot. No, I'm sorry.
I mean, it does.
No. I'm just like what rotted Twitter discourse can I drag into this discussion?
Well, I think that what makes the ending fascinating is that anyone who criticizes it as just being like, oh yeah, like 2 girls going at it is like, well, that was the whole point, is that we duped you into thinking that was just gratuitous, and it is slightly gratuitous, but it's also you weren't paying attention, or the movie's making you like pay attention to the gratuitous aspect of it.
The girls weren't paying attention either, especially Ben Darris.
None of the men in the movie were paying attention, and you probably assumed this was just gratuitousness for the sake of gratuitousness, when actually the 2 women were in cahoots the whole time. Maybe the movie doesn't give you enough to pick up on the fact that they were doing that the whole time, but it's all part of the point.
I would say that it reminds me a little bit of The Handmaiden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. 2001 Palm. What else we got? Oh, sorry. What?
Well, I was going to say, it is a real movie that they're watching at the start. It's East West by Regis Wozniak, Sandrine Benares.
Who is that director? Who's waiting?
And Catherine Deneuve is also in this movie. And I think they used part of the score from the movie because I saw his name in the credits. The score for this movie, East West, is Patrick Doyle, who did the score for Carlito's Way by Brian De Palma.
Very cool. Yeah.
Somebody from your family.
On the Wikipedia page, though, for East West, I'm looking for mentions of Femme Fatale. 0. Rude.
Oh, come on.
Very rude.
Come on. Notable movies that are at 2001 Con. The Man Who Wasn't There, the Joe Coen movie, and Millennium Mambo, which I need to watch.
Yeah, I need to watch both of those, actually. Man Who Wasn't There is one of the few Coens I haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. But more importantly, you know what started in 2001 at Con? That's right. The Palm Dog Award. That's right.
They should have had the Palm Chat for best cat, Palm Cat, and given it to Femme Fatale.
For that cat that
it's
just
a very
can't
accurate ass cat.
Can't stop playing with that little camera.
I guess I wouldn't call it Palm Chat if they call it Palm Dog. I mean, because chien is palm is dog in French, but and Palm Chat doesn't sound good.
Palm Chat.
That honestly sounds like a Razzie. That sounds like palm shit.
They also don't call it palm the way that they spell it, Palme. They just call it palm as in Palm. So I don't know what they're doing. But the first year, 2 winners. They usually have 2 winners. Otis from The Anniversary Party, which is a good movie, and Leo as Del Gato in Large. That's right. Other notable winners, Moses from Dogville, of course. They were just like, let's nominate a fake dog. Who cares?
It is a fake dog.
2009, three winners: Doug from Up, okay, Black Poodle from Inglourious Bastards, and the Fox from Antichrist. And it says in parentheses, rules were broken. They were like, we gotta get this guy in here.
It's rules were bent. Broken. Oh. We can't have rules being broken.
They're just bent. They're not broke just yet. Where are we at? Let's go through the plot. Yes. Mercenary thief Laura Ash is part of the team executing a diamond heist at the Cannes Film Festival. The diamonds are located on a golden ensemble worn by Monica Veronica, who is accompanied by real-life director, French name, to the premiere of... No, his name is Regis Wagner, I believe. To the premiere of the film East West. Where's my partner that I came with? I want to watch the movie. Yeah. Lauren seduces Veronica in order to obtain the diamonds, during which her accomplices, quote-unquote, Black Tie and Racine, provide support. However, the heist is botched, and Lauren ends up double-crossing her accomplishments and escaping to Paris with the diamonds. Yeah, this is like... I'm surprised in the De Palma documentary, they're not just like, okay, well, you know, we've been showing clips and all that. We're just going to show the entire, 20 minutes opening of this. We're just going to do that. Yeah, when this shit goes night vision, as soon as they cut through the power, it's the coolest shit ever.
Oh, yeah. Everybody wears, just a side note, everybody wears that ski mask at one point too, because at first the guy she double crosses wears it to shoot the guy in the bathroom stall, and then she wears it to put the night vision on and escape, and then Antonio Banderas wears it on the bridge.
Huh.
So everybody's dressing up as somebody else throughout this movie.
Paris, a series of events cause Laura to be mistaken for a mysterious Parisian woman named Lily, who had recently disappeared, while Laurie luxuriates in a tub. What is luxuriate?
Luxuriates? That's still a weird word to use. That's
She's luxuriating a bit too much, because she doesn't know that before she passes out, that water is way too high. She should, while she luxuriates in a tub in Lily's home, the real Lily returns and commits suicide while Laurie secretly watches, providing Laurie the opportunity to take our identity for good and leave for the country for the U.S.
Romijn is so funny in these scenes where she's just like, the way she just sort of is almost laughing in disbelief. Is like, I can't believe how fucking lucky I am. Yeah. Like, I have the passport. I look just like this person. Yeah. Like, the tickets. And then, even when she gets on the plane, it's like, oh, the ticket's been sold twice. Anyway, want to go to first class? Where you sit next to this very rich guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who will soon become the French ambassador. Yeah.
You know. What about that? This scene where the Lily comes home, that's probably my favorite scene in the entire movie. I love the way that Rebecca Romijn is looking at her. She's in between some stuff, and she's holding her arm in front of her face. It just I love the way that it's shot.
Mm-hmm.
7 years later, Laurie, in her identity as Lily, resurfaces in Paris as the wife of Bruce Watts, the new American ambassador to France. After arriving in France, a Spanish paparazzo... it's so hard to say the singular version of paparazzi. Remember the movie Paparazzi from 2004? Named Nicholas Bardo...
Remember the movie Teenage Paparazzo with Adrian Grenier?
No, I do not. Paparazzi I watched on LimeWire, that's right. Named Nicholas Bardo takes her picture. The picture is displayed around Paris, and Black Tie... I feel like we're missing a lot here. That he gets a call that somebody has never taken her picture for the past 7 years, and he wants to take a picture of her, and he disguises himself as a homeless man or something like that outside of where they... and pretends to get hit by the car for her to come out and take the picture. The picture is displayed around Paris, and Black Tie, who has consequently been released from prison 7 years after being arrested for the heist, spots Bardo's picture while in the middle of killing a woman, seen talking earlier with Laurie at the cafe by throwing her into the path of a speeding truck. Maybe now or later, but why does that truck have spikes at the end of it?
It was a loading. It wasn't the truck that had spikes attached to it. It was like
I know
loading.
that they went like that and they went down to load it, but why are they spiky at the end of it?
It's because well, isn't there like a big spiky gate around like the church where the wedding's happening?
Well, yeah.
Maybe not the best way to maybe it's like saying maybe we put the spikes facing away from us next time.
Look, I don't build trucks in France. I don't know what to tell you.
Or I mean I don't know what the lifting methods are for delivering people.
In France, we build everything just in case Final Destination takes place
Do you
here.
think Brian De Palma was like, bring me all of your spike-filled trucks I can use for this set
And they were like,
piece?
we don't do that in France. He was like, you do in Brian De Palma's France. And they were just like, who is this American? What is going on? Speaking of luxuriating in a pool, our French ambassador, Kenan Thompson, is in a tub right now.
This is where that video game Twisted Metal takes place, right? That would be amazing, though, if you're right, if Kenan showed up.
Well, yeah, this guy's the American ambassador to France. The France ambassador to America is just Kenan Thompson.
Well, the alternate ending, it turns out that it was all a dream in Kenan Thompson's head.
Gets out of the tub. Oh, my God! You look nothing like me, woman. The end. Yeah.
I cannot steal your passport. That's terrible.
Now, can you please get my clarinet out of my belly button? With Laurie exposed to her vengeful accomplices, she decides to frame Bardo for her own staged kidnapping. Bardo is further manipulated by Laurie into following through with a quote-unquote kidnapping, and in the process they begin a sexual relationship.
What?
Somewhat.
They don't. Yeah, they fuck
No,
once.
really.
Yeah, they fuck once. I don't consider that even a relationship.
Maybe he does though.
I was about to say he does.
He does. I mean, that's the. But yeah, that's what. That's the thing. Is that's the whole joke of the movie. Is he considers it romantic, and it's. She knows she has him wrapped around her finger.
That one guy who calls that he pretends to be somebody else, and he's like, hey, man, you need to take a picture. He tells that guy, he's like, oh, yeah, the woman I was with last night, and, it's been a few nights, and, I'll tell you later, but it's been wild.
I also like that Napoleon sits down for like a second, and she's like, hey, come meet my friend Napoleon. I think he's in love. Not only is Antonio Banderas jealous, but he's like, that's right. Like this guy's basically
he's like, this is a lot. I need American cigarettes, please.
And it takes Banderas so long to remember that he has like the tape recorder that he's been using and everything. Yes. It's like he pulls it out of his jacket. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot I have this. This might be useful.
While he's buying cigarettes. Yep.
And then when he records her afterwards and whatnot, he's like, I got your ass. And then he just immediately gets shot off the bridge. The pair eventually meet with Bruce for a ransom exchange. However, Bardo has a crisis of conscience at the last moment and sabotages the scheme. At the last moment, he was going to go through it. He was gonna go through it.
That was what I was referring to, though, is when he's like, she's framing this kidnapping to bribe you for $10 million, and she just shoots him and then just goes, what the fuck do you think you're doing? It's so funny.
Yeah, at the last moment, as soon as he pulls out his mini disc, which I don't know how you were able to record on that, but anyways, he's gonna do that. In retaliation, Laurie executes both Bruce and Bardo, only to be surprised by her ex-accomplishments afterwards, who promptly throw her off a bridge to her seeming death. Love the shot where it immediately goes into the water.
Oh,
so good.
Yeah.
And it's also like a nice extra mean-spirited touch that like Banderas looks happy as he's dying, as he sees her being thrown off the bridge.
He has that grin. Yeah, it's nasty. Yeah.
But yeah, that shot, and then she emerges from the tub. In an extended twist ending. I don't know about extended, but...
It's an epilogue.
Yeah, sure. The entirety of the film's events after Laurie enters the tub in Lily's home are revealed to be a dream. In reality, Laurie spies Lily entering the house as spies? What? But this time, Laurie stops Lily from committing suicide. 7 years later, Laurie and Veronica, who is revealed to have been Laurie's partner all along, chat about the success of their diamond caper. don't you want to go on a caper? I just want to go on a caper. Black Tie and Racine arrive seeking revenge, but they are indirectly killed by the same truck that killed Veronica in Laurie's dream. Bardo, witnessing all these events, introduces himself as Laurie, swearing that he has met her before, but with Laurie replying, only in my dreams. Kind of cuts out the incredible scene of Lily getting picked up and in the car and giving the necklace to the guy driving her. And, yeah, that shit's sad.
Yeah, it doesn't explain why the crash happens, and then also bringing back De Palma's split screen to show the light refracting from necklace to briefcase to lens to... It's just so good.
It reminds me of the scene. I'm just thinking, this is a few years later after this movie, but the scene in Hot Fuzz where Simon Pegg realizes all the patrons in the bar are underage, and the kid with the braces laughs, and then like the braces are so bright and it like shines in his eyes.
I also love, it always cracks me up now, that the guy knocks Rebecca Romijn over, and he kind of looks back at her, and he's like, oh, and then he just keeps walking. Like, what an asshole. Like, he totally bumps into her, and then he's just like, which,
I must get home.
Of course, it needs to happen so Antonio Banderas can go help her up. Not a criticism, I just think it's funny. It just, you know.
The only thing I will say, the Only in My Dreams is a little too cheeky for me.
But it's a...
Oh, I like it.
It's a movie.
I think it's really funny.
It is the most movie.
And
well,
it's funny, too, how, like, some of De Palma's happy endings are, like, quote-unquote happy endings. Like, sort of, like, they're not always... Like, this is, like, a happy ending in the sense that, like... But it's, like, played as a joke. The Black Dahlia, it's very ironic, where it's, like, you know, a warm embrace in a doorway, but, like, this specter of death just hangs over the main characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny how he'll like sort of twist that sort of artificiality.
I'll take the Only in My Dreams, I'll take that. But the weird freeze frame on Antonio Banderas seems weird to me.
Well, then it pans back to, you know, the light refracting off of the briefcase.
That I love.
Yeah.
That's like,
and then
maybe like my
pano.
favorite last shot of any De Palma movie. It's fucking, that gets me emotional, where it's just like fate has done all this stuff, and I don't know, shit's good, man. It's quite good.
I love this movie so much, and it's just a movie that loves movies. I don't think it's very serious about its love of cinephilia. That's just how I see it, and also just about the ways we're fascinated by moving images and what we're fascinated by. So.
Couple things, just final thoughts. In quoting some of the Antonio Banderas lines, I hope I was not insensitive at all. And it's hard to do with Banderas' impression. I mean, because I think he's such a distinct performer. But yeah, I hope I wasn't bad. And I think Banderas is genuinely wonderful in this movie, playing a dumb idiot. He's very funny in this. Yeah. No. The other thing with the 7 years later thing. The actual, 7 years later reminds me of one of my favorite jokes in the first season of BoJack Horseman, where BoJack Horseman is he's having some sort of acid trip, and it says 2 days later, and he wakes up, and then all of a sudden Alison Brie's character turns into a giant sort of big monster and everything. He's like, oh shit, I'm still tripping, aren't I? And then it comes to a talk card, it's actually not 2 days later, it was just 7 minutes later. It reminds me of that in this movie when it has the 7 years later title card twice. Yeah.
You know what my favorite X years later is? I think it's only in the director's cut of Zodiac, but the black screen and everything is all the sounds that you're hearing, and then it's 12 years later, and you're like, oh, nothing has happened, man.
Yeah.
It's so devastating.
Yeah.
I mean, similar one, too, in Todd Haynes' Dark Waters, at one point where, Mark Ruffalo, I think at some point in the movie, achieves, some sort of victory, and it says, 2012, 2013, 14, 15, 16. So, I mean, it just keeps going by, and Gus Amy's so depressed because his case is just not going anywhere. You're like, fuck. It's so brutal.
I just have to mention showing this on my birthday a couple years ago at the Coolidge, and the audience, my theater full of friends who I invited after hours, reacting in various ways to Rebecca Romijn seducing Antonio Banderas, saying, come on, Nicholas, you don't have to lick my ass, just fuck me. Most people laughed hysterically. My one friend sitting next to me looked at me and in full seriousness said, this is atrocious.
And you were just like John Candy in the car in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, just turning into the devil, just laughing.
Yeah, pretty much.
final thoughts on Femme Fatale.
This was a great pick, Charlie. Thanks for getting me to watch this for the first time.
Yeah.
Very fun movie.
Not as much disturbed in nu metal as our last intermission pick, but that's okay. That's okay.
No, although some of the music in the club is a little trip hoppy, which is kind of my taste.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a bit.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. I love this movie.
You said it's not your favorite De Palma, but is it your most like you De Palma? You know what I mean?
It's up there. I mean,
it's not my favorite, but it's like the one I could probably talk about.
I mean, Carrie has been Carrie I felt in my bones since I was a teenager. But yeah, I mean, this is top 3 De Palma for me. This, Carrie, Blowout, those are my 3. I mean, he's one of my favorite filmmakers. I love him so much. I only disliked pretty much The Wedding Party and Bonfire of the Vanities. But there's something about his movies that are just so, just the way he uses the camera, the way he's so prioritized with immersing you viscerally within, cinematic language. Just honestly, I feel like even in some of his more problematic stuff, he's often so empathetic to his characters, the ways those two worlds meld, and the fascinations he has with, we ourselves are fixated on moving images. Oh God, I sound so corny. I just love the guy. He's horny and a provocateur and loves sex and violence, and also is a big old softy when he wants to be. I just love him.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Almost Major. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Please follow the pod on Twitter at Almost Major to keep up to date with what movies we will be covering in the future. Myself, I can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at KevBonesy. Bryden can be found on Twitter at Bryden Doyle and on Letterboxd at JDoyle. Charlie can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at CTNash91. Once again, thank you for listening.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description